Um, all right, so welcome everyone. This is, I think, our 10th webinar in the series. I didn't expect this to go for more than a couple of them, and now we're in our 10th one of exploring career opportunities in ecology. We're really happy to have everyone joining us. I am your host, if you've never heard this before, Aaron Stoller. I currently serve in the industrial sector as an applied ecologist for ExxonMobil Biomedical Sciences. I also serve as a senior chair for ESA's public and private sector ecologist section. And we'll talk a little bit about that during a quick intermission where Sandra, who is called ESA webinars for this webinar, is going to chat a little bit about ESA and the upcoming meeting. But in the meantime, the purpose of this webinar, as always, is to just share stories and guidance for all job seekers in the world of ecology. I understand this is a weird world to be an ecologist in right now. It's so interesting getting perspectives from all different people. If you talk to the people who survived previous administrations, this is not the first rodeo. It's just a little bit different of a flavor, and we're here to just provide a little bit of support and guidance in whatever way that we can, and also to provide a source for networking that you can hopefully use in the future. If you're not looking for a job, at least to expand your network. And if you are looking for a job, just reach out and say, hey, what do you have to offer? So we're actively building a support net to help anyone who finds themselves in a tricky situation or just wants to learn more. And yeah, so we try to talk to people from all different sectors, academics, as well as government, industry, consulting, education, nonprofit, NGO, all kinds of ecologists working in these sectors. And they're really leading incredibly fulfilling careers that are helping to translate research into sustainable futures for everybody. And these ecologists are also really generating cool, novel research that they do in collaboration with partners in academia, as well as across other sectors. And so, yeah, with me today, I have two guests, including Tim Nuttle and Johanna Delgado-Acevedo. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We're going to have a conversation with each of them in turn. And instead of me fumbling over introductions about who they are and where they work and what they do, I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. And I want you all to keep in mind, I do this mostly for me. Because I just like learning about other careers and I like learning about other people and how they have found their careers. So I'm really just genuinely interested in knowing what both of you have to tell me about your career trajectory. So just a couple of housekeeping things. If you have a question, please ask it in the Q&A. We welcome all kinds of questions as long as they're constructive and don't hate things or whatever. So just enter it into the Q&A box at the bottom. It is possible for you to enter things into the chat, and you might be more used to that, but it would really help us all out if you did it in the Q&A box. That organizes things for us. And if we don't get to your question, I'll be able to send the Q&As out after the meeting and have the speakers ask them, and then we'll resend things out. We also actually have a blog now, which is occasionally updated with really cool questions that we get that might help career seekers out, and I occasionally post things about that. So with that, let's go to Tim first. Dr. Tim Nuttle and I actually go back a ways, all the way back to when I was in graduate school. I believe you were a postdoc, correct? Yeah, so something like that. Right. So we're going to, so this was when I was at the University of Pittsburgh, and Tim overlapped with me a little bit. So Tim, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you're currently doing, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Aaron. I have three capacities that I'm working on right now, although I've been trying to simplify things. It's just not going that direction. So my first capacity is as founder and owner of Oikos Ecology, which is a consulting company that specializes in ecological planning and ecosystem restoration, invasive species management services, mostly around the Pittsburgh area. So Most of my clients are local municipalities or institutional landowners. For example, University of Pittsburgh or Carnegie Mellon University. I do consulting work for their campuses to help them meet their ecological goals as well as their land use um, regulations that they have to comply with when they want to do development projects. There's often some steps that they need to do to get clearances and environmental regulations they need to follow. So I help them meet those as well as meet their other obligations for their lands. Municipalities would include the city of Pittsburgh, other local townships, boroughs, and cities who have parks. They often need services that involve sustainability of their natural resources, how to manage them, how to deal with invasive species issues, how to plan for future climate when they're looking at their transitioning their forests to species that are going to be resilient for the future projected climate. And I work for land trusts in similar capacity. So those would be nonprofits. And for stream and wetland mitigation banking, which brings me to my second role, which is one of my bigger clients were performing stream and wetland restoration services as part of the compensatory mitigation industry, which basically is if somebody in the United States needs to impact a protected aquatic resource, they have to offset those impacts by restoration. And this is a way to consolidate restoration in areas that can deal with the underlying issues of whole watersheds and therefore kind of really make a big impact in a defined area as opposed to kind of like piecemeal restoration everywhere, which doesn't really work. So I'm taking on a full-time role with them and transitioning out of the consulting role, but I have a number of projects that are kind of like feathering in. And I'm doing similar services for them. I'm doing ecosystem restoration planning. I'm doing permitting, assessments, post-restoration monitoring, things like that. My third role is I teach part-time at University of Pittsburgh. I teach urban ecological field studies, and I teach ecology lecture.
That is a large plate of things. I didn't even know the extent of all of that. So please tell us as much as you care to about your career trajectory.
Yeah.
I will say you and I have discussed your own career trajectory quite a bit, and it's highly influenced me. And I want to publicly thank you for helping me understand my own career trajectory. So please, whatever you want to share about how you got from point A to point B would be great.
All right. Well, so I started off as a fisheries and wildlife major at Michigan State University, where I got my bachelor's degree and then my master's degree from Mississippi State in wildlife ecology. And my goal was to become a biologist for the Forest Service because I had I worked on a research project at the National Forest, Hiawatha National Forest in Michigan. I really enjoyed that idea of kind of working landscapes and managing for multiple uses. I thought the Forest Service would be a great opportunity to do that because I was really interested in the collaborative aspects with other uses like the forestry and recreation. So that was my goal. But then during my master's, I started becoming more interested in the research aspect of ecology and decided to pursue a PhD. So I did that. I went to Utah State University where I got a PhD in ecology. And then I did a postdoc at Friedrich Schiller University in Jena. So I'm really on the academic track at this point. Friedrich Schiller University in Jena, Germany. I'm actually in Germany right now in Berlin. I'm just here on vacation this time, visiting some old friends. But yeah, that was my career path then, was to become a professor and teach and do research. And so I came back to the US when my postdoc was over. I continued collaborating in Europe for a number of years. And when I met Erin, I was not exactly a postdoc. I was a visiting research scientist, and I was technically employed by the University of Jena in Germany still, although I was traveling back and forth to continue working on this project and working remotely. University of Pittsburgh was very generous in hosting me and providing an office and one of the professor's labs, Walt Carson, and did some research projects with him and his students. And then I got a tenure track position at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, which is 60 miles from Pittsburgh. So kind of thought, okay, well, that's doable. Don't have to move. My husband had a job in Pittsburgh that he could walk to, so didn't feel like moving. And I did that for 5 years, and really the drive was really wearing me down, and also figuring out that I wasn't going to be able to build the kind of career at that university that I wanted to, because I was really expecting to be able to be more research active and have more support from the university to build a research career. And that was just an uphill battle. And there was increasing pressure to teach more and more classes and have more and more students in every class, and not being able to teach the ecology curriculum that I wanted to teach, that I was brought in to teach, because older professors kind of already owned that curriculum and
If
wouldn't
I can
give
just
up.
set the scene for anyone who doesn't
Yeah.
know Indiana University of Pennsylvania, it is primarily a teaching university, correct?
Well, it's a larger university. It's one of Pennsylvania has large universities like University of Pittsburgh and Penn State, and some others that are partially public. And then they have the state-owned universities, and I would say um, it was in transition. It was a really kind of like the flagship of the state-owned universities for a number of years,
Okay.
but kind of got, I think, a lot of middle level universities kind of started losing their identity and purpose at about this time,
Okay.
as state funding has declined, and therefore the pressure to make up those revenues by putting more student butts in seats, which takes away from the ability to support student-centered research. So I guess, kind of, yeah, I guess so. Is it a primarily undergraduate institution? I guess so, but they still have master's programs in certain areas. So that was 2007 to 2012. I left to work at a consulting company. I got tenure and quit 2 weeks later. So just I can always say I got tenure. I wasn't denied tenure and therefore had to quit. Um, it's come in handy since I get paid more to teach at Pitt, since I had tenure at one point. So even though I'm not on the tenure track at Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, and I was offered the opportunity to apply for a senior leadership role at a consulting company, an engineering consulting company in Pittsburgh. So I hadn't really been thinking about leaving academia, but I was very frustrated with where I was working. I was really tired of the long drives, which was taking a toll on my, family life and my health. Just like, my neck was killing me and my back was horrible, in terms of just spending all that time in the car in front of a desk. So I thought, I'll take a 1 year leave of absence from the university and try it out. My intention was not to go back to the university, but it was kind of a safety net. And so that's what I did. And it ended up working out really well for a number of years. I really enjoyed working with the diverse team of scientists that I got to work with. We had a large group of ecologists. We had about 40 ecologists working in the office, which was way more ecologists than Indiana University of Pennsylvania had. And I was helping them do a lot of things like I would advanced students. I was helping them write reports to summarize, and how to summarize and synthesize findings from the various studies that we did for clients. And I was learning about the permitting environment, and so that was really interesting. I got into working with the public sector, like the jobs I was talking about I work on now. And during that time, COVID happened, and I had really transitioned away from a lot of the more industrial clients like oil and gas and mining to take up this public sector work. And during COVID, the public sector work just evaporated because municipalities were worried about, shifting resources into, protecting people's health. So I got laid off. And that sucks. I don't recommend it if you can avoid it. Really feel like you're kicked to the curb and you figure out who your real friends are. And I also realized I didn't really like I didn't really invest in like personal friends. I just had like work friends, and then they just kind of go away often when you don't work there anymore. But luckily, I had some clients who wanted to continue working with me and was able to transition into starting my own company, doing the kind of work I was doing. And so it ended up being a really good change for me, much happier doing it. And then in my new role at Naturion Waterland Solutions, they just changed their name to Naturion, which is the mitigation banking restoration provider. They were my clients before. I'd worked with them when I was at my engineering job, company job, and I worked with them as a private consultant, and my portfolio with them just kind of kept expanding. And we decided that I could better serve them and it would be a little more stable for me with a salary position as opposed to a project by project position. So that started in the beginning of May, and so far so good with that.
That's a wibbly wobbly, windy career path, Tim.
It is.
I think that if
And
anybody is, go ahead, what?
I was going to say, I think that the thing about a lot of times people, it is long and takes a long while to describe, but I always feel challenged to try to shorten it, but it would be so superficial and not kind of serve the purpose, which I think is like you don't have to have one job for your whole career, and you're not necessarily stuck when you're in one path, that you can transition between paths.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme of this whole webinar series, and I have a feeling that the more people I talk to, the more it's just going to stay that way. Um, yeah, so I'm going to ask the question that's on the top of my mind, which is, how did you feel about you had that safety net from Indiana State University of Pennsylvania. You had that safety net to go back to if the company or if the private sector field didn't work out for you, if the consulting job didn't work out for you.
Mhm.
Um, so I suppose that minimized some anxiety, and then you laid more anxiety on yourself in a few years after that by starting up your own consulting company. And so, as somebody who just suffers from anxiety day in, day out, how do you feel about managing those career transitions and especially going off on your own?
Yeah, so you know, the transition from IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, I really kind of just started hating working there, and and I did have that safety net. It was good for the university to have a year where I didn't just quit, because that allowed them to hold my position open and fill me up, not fill me up, but fill in the classes I was teaching with temporary faculty who at a much lower cost. So they actually saved money while still being able to keep my position open and not immediately have to start a new search. So they actually thought that was great. And I didn't intend to go back. I thought, I'm like, I really hope this works out, because I just really hate working at IUP.
Just to interject here, just so I cover all bases, IUP is a great college for students. It's probably a great college for a lot of faculty. It's just not
Oh,
like
for
any
sure.
job. Any job, it's not right for everybody, and some people part
Exactly.
ways. So
And
let's
yeah, and not to disparage IUP or my
yeah.
coworkers. It was the combination of the long commute, the dual careers, it not being able to shape it into the kind of career that I wanted it to be. So that was like matching what I wanted and what it really was. So anyway, that was a choice. And I had that safety net, and I ended up really loving that work, the new job, and the free time. The other thing I learned leaving academia was in academia, you're never done working and it's never enough. And often, and those are some of that can be self-imposed, but because you're trying to get tenure, you're trying to establish your career, you're trying to get promoted, and it's just never seems like it's enough. And so it was just exhausting. And at the engineering company, it was like, I showed up at eight or nine, and I got off at, 5 or 6, and then I was done with work, and I didn't have to think about it till the next day, which was great. Now the other transition, which was leaving that company, I worked there 9 years, and that was not my choice. It was very stressful because I knew I was on the chopping block. I was a principal, principal is like a step below vice president, if you think of it like in design firms. And they're kind of like project PIs, like in academia, right? So they're like managing project managers. So I also had to bring in a lot of revenue by bringing in new clients, and I had to manage a lot of revenue. And when that became difficult or impossible due to my client, me handing off a lot of my projects as I was transitioning to public sector clients, I couldn't pull those back when my public sector work dried up due to COVID. And I just felt every day, I felt the fear and anxiety of, getting the axe. And eventually I got the axe. And it sucks, but it was, in the end, I knew for a long time that job had become not such a great fit for me. One, it was a growing company, and there were some changes in leadership that didn't match the way it was when I first started there. So very difficult, but it was a big relief when it happened. For a while, I got a severance package. I got a 10 weeks of pay, which is common in the private sector to get severance. It's like basically 1 week of pay for every year that you work. That's kind of typical. And then I also got, because it was COVID, there was some, I didn't have to pay for my health insurance through Cobra, which is the continuation of benefits. That was great. And so it kind of gave me a little bit of I don't have to panic right now. I've got a little time to figure this out. I felt like, okay, nobody's ever going to want to hire me again because I was just, kicked to the curb. I'm never going to, do I even want to work in this industry anymore? And luckily I had, University of Pittsburgh was really my first client that went with me, and they just really valued the work I was doing for them, helping them figure out how to meet their goals and make us a more sustainable campus and meet their regulatory obligations. And so that was kind of, and it was very, quite sizable contracts that I was able to bring with. So that was like a start. And then I just had clients that I had worked with before say, hey, we got a project. We'd like to team, or other engineers or landscape architects. We'd like to team with you on a project. Can you work with us? So the work just kind of like fell in my lap at first, which was great. And that was because I had had years of developing a reputation and collaborations, and people enjoyed working with me. And it would be difficult to do that if someone was similarly thinking about transitioning out of academia and starting consulting. It would be difficult if you were starting from nothing. But I wasn't starting from nothing. I made a lateral transition from academia to consulting because they needed a PhD who could be an expert and witness for, court cases and things like that. They also needed some kind of mentorship for their younger ecologists because they had expanded rapidly. They needed somebody to help them learn how to those analytical skills and writing skills, and that was very transferable from academia. So it kind of was a good fit.
Can I ask a question bouncing off of that? So
yeah.
one of the things that I experienced after leaving academia was difficulty in entering into the consulting world, because a lot of consulting agencies don't typically hire a lot of PhDs. Now there are some that do, but most don't, or they prefer to hire them at the very entry level, which often scoots you out of a reasonable pay range relative to what you were making in academia. So I'm kind of grouping some questions in here, but if you can speak to that, like what would your guidance be now to somebody who is interested in leaving academia and going to consulting? If they have a
So
PhD, let's say, or a master's.
yeah, I would say you're right. A lot of times it really depends on the consulting company. So I was a little bit of an odd fish in the mid-sized engineering company that I was hired at, but they had a specific need for somebody with a doctoral degree, but they only needed one of me, right?
Mm,
So subsequently, I had people that I knew from academic backgrounds who were interested in consulting, and they just didn't see how they would fit. You know, they were like, "You're overqualified," or "What is a what they really want is an academic career." And even though people that like sometimes people start a PhD and they realize, you know what, I don't want to be in academia anymore. I don't want to be a professor. I don't want to work in research. I want to do something else in ecology. And they, you know, how do you make that transition? So I think it is now we have the public and private sector ecologist section, which that's a great place to make connections. Some companies do have they there are different kinds of ecological consulting. Some of them are, you know, do a stream and wetland delineation, write a report, help people prepare permits so they can build their bridge or highway or pipeline or whatever it is. Um, and so that's doesn't require a PhD, I would say, not at all. But there are some that are more of the analytical, figuring out novel solutions to problems. That's kind of where the sweet spot is for people who can really think synthetically and outside the box and who have a variety of experience. And they're just not like plugging a protocol in and you know, rinse, wash, and repeat, which is not to disparage that kind of work or sound disparaging of that kind of work. It's definitely very good quality, you know, essential work. It's just different kind of work. So I would say larger companies often have roles for that. So we have a colleague, Lisa Nellis at Bramble. She has a PhD. She's leading a group of people doing a lot of biodiversity assessment kind of work. Um, and that's kind of like every project's different. So you need to kind of figure out what they need and try, you know, figure out a way to achieve it.
can I
Other
can I
companies
can
are,
I
yeah.
no, I was just to say, can I riff on that for just a second? And also just for sake of time, what's your projection or your thoughts on what that kind of skill, that novel insight, that novel creativity in consulting, what's your expectation for that in the next several years? Given that we're seeing very intelligent, high rank, like GS ranking people coming out of the Fed wanting to be that innovative person. Like, do you see the consulting sector absorbing more than before?
Yeah,
You can
tough
pass.
question.
You can pass. It's fine.
I have a colleague who worked at the Forest Service and all you know, we knew each other at Pitt and he was there before Aaron was, but you know, he was in a research lab at the Forest Service and, you know, what are your options? And so yeah, especially, you know, there are being, the world is more mobile now, work from home kind of thing, you know, environment helps a lot. Um, the demand for these kind of biodiversity assessments kind of comes in twofold. One is voluntary sustainability tracking and reporting that companies do to show that they're good corporate citizens, and the other is regulatory, mainly from European Union regulations that require companies that do business there or base there to report on these things globally. So that's not going away. There, I think that kind of stuff in the US, I think see a lot of companies are backing away from, you know, words like, you know, DEI and sustainability and that kind of thing. They may still be doing the work, but they're kind of backing away from it and waiting and seeing. It's kind of sad how quickly that all turned around, honestly. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fine. you know, it's a tough question, and I don't know that I have any expertise or skin in the game to really answer it with any expertise. So you know, I'm just always interested in knowing people. think about it. And then the last question that I have, I've been dying to ask this question since the beginning when you mentioned that you went to Germany for research for you said for a postdoc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't you stay in Germany?
Why did I or didn't I?
Why didn't you? I'm just curious. Like,
Well, my
you're in
original
Germany
plan
now and you're
was,
visiting, you know?
yeah, I love Germany. It was so much fun and such a learning experience. A little exhausting having to learn a new language and always kind of like not quite understanding the background conversations that are happening and realizing that, in daily life, we just absorb a lot of information by passively overhearing things or glancing at posters and reading what was happening and not knowing where you picked up the information that there's some event happening that you're interested in. The original plan was to stay in Germany for at least another 3 years. I got a project funded by the European Commission to continue working, but it was delayed starting for a good 6 months. Wasn't sure it would ever get started. This is due to just politics crap in the European Commission. And they just delayed all of their executive functions for an indefinite amount of time. And so we had to make a decision. I had, you can't just stay in a foreign country without so my residency permit was dependent on having a work permit. And if I wasn't working,
Okay.
then I would lose my residency permit. Not immediately. There's some actually like really reasonable people in Germany about how they treat people. But we also couldn't afford to live without a job,
Right.
so my husband got a position in Pittsburgh. That's how we moved to Pittsburgh. And then 3 months after moving to Pittsburgh, my European project was funded. And so I just continued to work on it from Pittsburgh and Jena, Germany, back and forth. So I was 6 months away from qualifying for permanent legal residency. Um, but there just wasn't a possibility to extend it, considering that we had kind of transitioned to Pittsburgh. So, yes, still maybe dreams of moving back here somehow, but your life start, you establish.
Yeah.
I can't move my career to Europe anymore.
Yeah, well, kids and whatnot, but it's always just an interesting decision that people make about where to land and where to go. And I mean, being abroad and academia is such a cool thing, and I appreciate you candidly sharing the reasons for that. Tim, I have many more questions, and I would love to listen to you all day long. However, my understanding is that you have to go at some point soon, and we would also love to chat with Johanna as well. So thank you so much for your time here. If you can stick on and answer any of the questions, some of them have already been sort of answered. I would appreciate it. If not, I'll send you the questions afterwards. No problem.
I do see a question here that I can answer very briefly. It just
Okay.
happens to be in chat, not in Q&A. So put your questions in Q&A, not
We
in
did,
chat.
we
But
did,
anyway,
but
this
yeah,
happens.
are there any
Okay.
aspects of academia that you miss? Yeah, it is in the
Yeah.
Q&A now.
So what I missed about academia was working with students who were motivated to learn and opening them up to something that they had no idea about before and getting them excited and helping see them make a connection, not just provide like a suggestion, but see they made a connection based on advice I gave them or something they learned from me. That's the best,
Yeah,
having that feeling.
I
And I still
100%
get to
agree with
because
that.
I teach part-time.
I 100% agree with that. I always love that aspect of teaching, and I try to find any outlet for teaching now just to fill that itch. So I echo that sentiment a lot. All right, Tim, thank you so much. Sandra, I'm gonna spotlight you. And please go
Wow.
ahead.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Joanna and Tim. I just wanted to just give some quick announcements and opportunities that might be helpful for all of you. I'm Sandra Rio, I'm the Professional Programs Coordinator at the Ecological Society of America, and thank you for joining us to the 10th, yes, Erin, you got it right, the 10th session of Exploring Career Opportunities in Ecology. Thanks for a great season 1 of these monthly webinars. You can still access recordings of past webinars at the ESA webinars webpage. And there's also an Ecology Careers Q&A blog. I will be sharing all the links in the chat soon. I also want to share some valuable professional development opportunities available through ESA. We have 2 upcoming workshops that are part of the Quantitative Methods series by ESA's Black Ecologist section. One is on individual-based modeling, and the other one is on machine learning. And we also have a webinar on biodiversity credits and nature markets this month. And additionally, I'd like to mention ESA's Professional Ecologist Certification Program. For those who don't know, ESA has a certification program. In fact, Tim and Erin are part of our certified ecologist community. This program has been around for over 40 years, and you do not have to be a member to get certified. And you can learn more at esa.org/certification or messaging us at cert@esa.org. And then quick reminders around ESA's annual meeting. Early bird registration is open and will be open till June 26th. So just be sure to, take advantage of these discounted rates and register soon and join us in Baltimore. That week of the meeting, we will have Career Central and various career workshops. Monday will feature a career fair and hiring event. Thursday will be on education, for example, so loosely themed all those 4 days. And all of this is supported by ESA's members and leaders like Erin and the public and private section ecologists. The annual meeting also includes multiple social events as well, so many opportunities to network. And there is still funding support available through ESA sections and chapters, but those awards vary and have different deadlines, so check the website for more details. And finally, just other career resources that are available through ESA. We have a career center powered by Wiley, where you can post resumes and search for job opportunities. We also have the Ecolog listserv for more job postings. And of course, you can access ESA's online communities. You just need a basic web account and jobs will be posted there as well. And thanks for your attention. Back to you, Erin.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Spotlight. Great. So one thing that I want to mention just before we go to Johanna, this conference in Baltimore is going to be an interesting one because of the current political climate, but I promise everybody, especially if you're a job seeker, it is going to be a fantastic opportunity to network, to meet people, to learn. I've been helping out with Career Central now for a few years, and it's just a really great opportunity for all types of people. And also, shout out, I see Tim is still on the line. Shout out to Tim for helping to start the public and private ecologist section. We're in our 3rd year. We'll have our 3rd, this will be our 3rd annual meeting where we're present. And it's really just a fantastic opportunity. We have a mixer that's planned for Monday evening. It's one of the most well-attended mixers at the conference. I'm proud to say that. It'll be at the Pratt Street Ale House. It's free for all to come. If you're interested, bring business cards, bring your resumes. It's a great place to meet people who are hiring, to meet other people who are looking for jobs. And there's no pressure to network either. It's really, I don't know how you're not going to network when everybody is introducing you to everybody else once you walk in. But it is really a great opportunity. And if you're not already a member of the section and you want to be, it's not that expensive to add that. I think $5 to your membership fee to become a member. And you'll just be even more engaged with the section. So I'll quit doing self-serving shout outs there. Johanna, I would love to chat with you. Let me
Hello.
spotlight you. There we go. Thank you so much for allowing us to eat into your time a little bit here, but we're really excited to learn a little bit about your career, especially in this current political climate. I would love to know what it is that you do day in and day out, how you got here, and what advice you have. So please take it away, introduce yourself, where you are, and how you got there.
Of course. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Erin, for the invitation. Currently, I'm the director of UNIDOS. It's a center for HSI, Hispanic Serving Institutions, Center for Community Coordination. So I just let that now to start because you can imagine how challenging it's been right now. So I grew up in Adjuntas. It's a small town in the center of Puerto Rico in the mountain zone. And there, I started my career becoming a volunteer of a non-governmental organization. The name is Casa Pueblo. And we were organized to fight mining projects, open pit mining projects. And I had many interests, but I didn't know what I was going to study. So after joining that group, I knew that I wanted to do something with education, advocacy, research, and biology, ecology, however it was named, that I didn't know at that time. Despite how small is Puerto Rico, there's different areas where education can be very good or access to it in terms of new resources, technology, and things like that was available. So I was in a rural town, and my access to go to a university for a workshop during that time was not present at all. So I had to wait until last minute to submit my application to the university, and I finally joined the University of Puerto Rico at Calle to do my bachelor in biology. I didn't have a good understanding that I wanted to do ecology, so I just did just biology. And after graduating there, I realized that I wanted to do ecology. So I joined the University of Puerto Rico at Rio Piedras, and I did my master's in tropical biology. And there I worked with amphibians of Puerto Rico and changes in size, allometry in different environments, from very forested to deforested. So after that, I realized that I did a morphological part of different animals, like in this example, frogs. So I wanted to do something with genetics then. And that's why I joined Texas A&M University, Kingsville, and the Cesar Kleberg Research Institute to do wildlife sciences. And then at that time, my opportunity to do genetics and environmental, well, like wildlife genetics, was with wild pigs. So it was a completely different challenge, but very, very interested, and I'm incredibly grateful for the people there, and also very happy that I made that decision. So I finished that, and then after you graduate, you have a PhD, you have some time where you feel glorious, like I have a PhD and I have that syndrome for a while, but then
Man, you felt very differently after I got my PhD. After I got my PhD, I was like, now what do I do?
No,
please continue. Please
that
continue.
didn't last long, because you go high after that defense and after your degree, and you like immediately a month or 2 months, and people take their whole life, but you drop down like incredible. Like what that I did, I know less than before because I specialize in one thing. It's traumatic kind of. So I didn't know what to do. So the first thing I did was I was invited to be the director of the botanical gardens of the University of Puerto Rico. And I felt very flattered and extremely excited about it. And I thought my idea was that I was going to have a community component, an education component, and a physical plant component. Well, I was very young for that kind of job. I didn't have any experience. There was some politics there where in Puerto Rico, you need to become part of a party or something like that to have a job in many instances.
A political party, you mean?
Becoming part of a political party.
Well, okay,
And
okay.
if that political party is in power, you can get a job.
Okay.
So that's very common there. And my father used to be part of a political party. So even though I had the academic background to be in that position, and I was able to that position, that helped a
Okay.
little bit too. I didn't was part of that at any means, but he was. Anyway, so when I got to that position, I realized all those things that I did, that I say before. And also it happens that the botanical gardens includes the office of the president of the University of Puerto Rico. So what I did was mow his lawn and order people to mow his lawn. So it was really, really, I was not good at it, and it was not what I studied. And I was too young, so all these things together. So I decided to go back to academia, where I feel more comfortable. And then I did a postdoc at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. And that lasted only 11 months when I was accepted to teach as a visiting assistant professor at Sul Ross State University. I think I was still too fresh
I'm sorry, where is that?
in Texas, West Texas,
Okay.
near Big Bend National Park. So I did that. I was not completely sure that that was something that I wanted to do. So, and the area is super isolated. So there was a lot of combinations and personal things, obviously. There was a lot of things combined that I tried to look for something immediately after getting in there. And there was this wonderful opportunity that it came on, that was a cooperative agreement between the Catholic University of Puerto Rico and Casa Pueblo. That was the organization where I started in middle school. So I was a research coordinator between the university and the community. And I developed different activities and promote and did some research in the community with professors and students from the university. And to this day, I loved that job, but the agreement only lasts 2 years. There was not a true commitment from the university, and it was almost hostile to get paid because one thing that you have to consider is that because you love this, people think that you are going to work for free most of your life. So there was not a deep commitment from the university. So the contract was not renewed. So I'm very fortunate to find an assistant professor opportunity at Texas A&M. Commerce now is Texas A&M. So I was extremely happy. I absolutely, being a professor and researcher at that small school, well, it's intermediate, but it's more rural. It's not A&M that has like 50,000 students in place. So it was small. I was able to get very close to students. And I was very committed to the university. I was in every committee that you can imagine. Sometimes I taught 4 classes a semester and have 5 graduate students with me. So I absolutely loved that job, and I was there all the time of my life. That was my life. But one thing that you have to realize is that when you are in an NGO or you are in academia, that practically is an NGO, it's a one-way, a loving relationship. So you give and give and give, and you get satisfaction that you are committed to something and that you are doing it. And also you get the opportunity to impact many people. But for the university, you're always overworked, underpaid. There's no, I don't know.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to say the same thing for you as I said to Tim. Texas A&M is a fine school. It's right for something. Okay, good.
So I got involved very actively in activities for Latinos and Latinas in wildlife. Also, I got very involved in the faculty and staff organization for Latinos in the university, and almost 24% of the university are Latinos. We are not represented in professorship. We are probably like, at that time we were 20, now they're even less because we start leaving the university because the environment become very hostile after several bills that passed became very hostile for us. And
For
I felt
Latinos
that, I'm sorry?
specifically. For Latinos specifically, or
Yes.
for anyone who is not U.S.?
For Latinos especially.
Okay.
They needed other people, especially students, to sell master's degrees online. So they were well accepted. But professors, that's my interpretation and my
Sure.
what I saw. So I start being pushed away, and every time that I propose a new activity or something like that, I start get pushing away. The department, my colleagues were exceptional. I still love them and miss them every day. But the administration, they wanted me out. So it was a very hostile environment. That was combined with COVID, where we had an immediate transition to online everything. So I start missing the community, I start missing the students. And after we went back, I couldn't. And that was on me. Like, it was very hard for me. I kept teaching a lot of classes online. It was more like a depression, anxiety thing that I couldn't get back completely as I was before. And unfortunately, during COVID, universities deal very well with students. They did an exceptional job with students. They support them everywhere, but there was nothing for professors at all. We didn't get absolutely anything. And the environment was very hostile because we had to accommodate every week to something different. We kept doing it because we love it, but it was very bad. I feel like we were the orphans, definitely, of COVID. So I started looking for opportunities, and I got my tenure. I started working post tenure. So I was keeping doing everything I could, but there was a point that I said, you can get many challenges staying in academia, but I was like, I need new challenges, and this is not it. And
Can I just a quick question? Was it you mentioned a couple of times that the administration was nudging you out, but then you say you got tenure. So I mean, did you fight exceptionally hard for tenure?
no, I didn't fight, but I did so much. I didn't have to fight against a decision, but I was
Okay.
doing so much in the university that they wouldn't dare to say no. I mean, it was impossible because at that point I was really, really, that was my life. So it was, there's some colleagues that even asked me to apply for early tenure. So, but I have to say that even though I felt that the administration was pushing me away, it was a big component of myself that were not performing as I wanted to do, right? Because mental and physical issues, my diagnosis was long COVID, that people still don't know what it is. But I spent days in dark rooms because migraines came, and the university wanted me to keep showing up to teach classes. So. But anyway, it was a great experience. Academia is a beautiful, beautiful bubble to live in, like many other bubbles in the world, but it's a beautiful one. I contemplate like when I wanted to look for new challenges, I still wanted those new challenges to be part of academia. So I was very fortunate to find this job that I have now in Florida International University. So I'm the director of the center, and what we do there is we try to build community within Hispanic serving institutions, also to look at different stakeholders that can be participants in research in STEM education. We offer tools for professors. We want to elevate their voices, know what they are doing, share that knowledge, because most of the time we are looking for the greatest idea to do research. And sometimes simpler things that professors do every day are the best things to share, because there's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of things to share to do better education in STEM. So I'm doing that, and I'm also leading an NGO because I always have this in my heart to work with community organizations. So I lead Kentucky Harwood. And in this organization, what we do is that we live very close to the Daniel Boone National Park. And what we do is we care for the national forest. We are trying to look for mostly illegal logging. And unfortunately, many of that illegal logging or management practices are done by Forest Service in some instances. Other people in Forest Service do a magnificent job, and I admire and I would like to elevate what they are doing. I have friends in the Forest Service, but anyway, this organization just look after that things are done correctly, that there's good management practices that are supported by science. And if we have to get to a point that we have to litigate against whoever it is, we will do it. But
Can I, two questions with this. One, did you start this yourself?
no. This organization has around 30 years.
Oh, okay. And second, so much of your career history that you've described has associated you with the Latino community. This NGO that you're talking about, is this also associated, or it's just
No.
okay? Okay.
No, not at all. Most people, it's a national organization, and we are kind of a chapter of it. The national organization is called Harwood, but then these people 30 years ago didn't join. It's autonomous, but it's Kentucky Harwood. And I just started here a month ago. And it's very special people. I cannot believe I'm so fortunate to find this organization.
So, can I ask, are you still with Florida International?
Yes,
Okay.
but because of the current environment, we are leaving Friday by Friday, expecting when we are going to be terminated. So I'm looking for a job. If anyone knows.
People are going to contact you asking for a job. It's not supposed to be the other way around, Johanna.
But I want you to give the idea that if you are not attached to have a position 30 years, for 30 years, like many our parents and grandparents did, these things are going to happen. And if you look to work in the, because I love academia, but I love the community part of it. So you have the opportunity to do those things if you want to, but you have to be sure that you understand that you are going to be under stress all the time, because nobody knew that this center was going to be in danger a year and a half ago. There's no idea. Like, we were extremely happy. We were organizing an annual meeting for this May, and 3 weeks was canceled. So you have to be prepared or almost or know that some things like this will happen.
So, first of all, I think I owe you a thank you, just for pushing back against noticeable tidal waves of ethnicism and racism, I suppose. I mean, it seems like you have really gone full out and dedicated your career to pushing back against the forces that you don't like, and I think are just, for ecologists, are just really horrible, but for everybody are bad. So thank you. And since Sandra's also on the line, and I don't know where your origins are, Sandra, but you're also doing the same. So I'll thank you for that as well. You are the first person that I've had on here which really candidly, openly spoke about your experience at the university. And I do want to say, universities aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and they are good for students. And faculty do have rich and rewarding careers there. It's not for everybody, but universities are business. They are an NGO, but they do have to keep a bottom line, and they did struggle during COVID. But you said something that really resonates with me, and it's worth repeating. It's a one-way relationship, right? They're not going to care for you. Oh, Sandra, I didn't know you were Puerto Rican as well. They're not going to care for you. You have to care for yourself. And I do think that a lot of students, and you're also the first person that really said something about that dropping off right after getting your doctorate. I think that so many students get their doctorate and they are in this mindset of, well, the university is going to care for me, because up to that point, the university has cared for them. They have stewarded them. And then they enter into this workforce that seems very similar to what they have been working on. And they're expecting that two-way relationship. And that was my mistake as well. So that really resonates with me, is that I failed to acknowledge that I am now in a job. And it's a one-way. I have to look out for myself. They don't really care too much about the people. They care more about making sure that their business as an NGO stays in place. And yeah, unfortunately, it's a lot to do with money. So I think that's worth repeating, because that's critical advice to give to all job seekers, is look out for yourself, look out for your family. If you are suffering from long COVID or something, which I will absolutely affirm, it is a real thing. I have friends who have it and it's horrible. Look out for yourself first and foremost. So thank you really for saying that. Sandra's giving us just a few more minutes here, and I have to ask this question. Projecting forward, what do you think is going to happen to these diversity initiatives at the university? I mean, I hope that they stay around, but you're more into it and you have more of an expert opinion, or should have more of one, than anyone else. So tell us.
I have so much hope. I think it's going to be wonderful. We are going to keep going, and we are going to keep going strong as we always have done. And after many, many generations of people or minorities have done, I think we are in a dark moment, which it has a huge light at the end, because I think more and more people is noticing how our lives are impacted by what is happening right now. People that will never acknowledge that before. And they probably not acknowledge in public, but when you see that the services that we provide for minorities are for the whole community, just making emphasis and intention to help them, or to provide resources or elevate their voices. Most of the work that we do it for everyone. We're just trying to tell minorities you can do it. And the reason I'm so optimistic is that it's dark. It cannot get darker. So we're going up. I'm really,
I don't know about that, Johanna. I'm looking at the news reports from Los Angeles, and it seems like it's getting a little darker every day here.
I think it's not the darkness is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I mean, and my time scale is not days, it's probably a year or 2 years. But when people realize that they are destroying their country, and you should not be proud of being a person from this country, that I don't feel that I'm part of this country. But if you are, and you're very proud of it, that I totally respect, you are going to notice that they are destroying your country. So so I think that people is going to start feeling like a joke, and people is going to be
I sincerely hope you have a public platform to say these words, because I'm guessing that our audience is just like, yep, and having some snarky comments in the back of their minds, being like agreeing, and just, oh, what are we supposed to? Those are amazing words to broadcast as widely as possible, and I'm going to make a special LinkedIn post to help that. It's always been. I always try to imagine what an academic world would be like, or what even a workforce in ecology would be like, if we had no diversity in voices. I've only ever learned anything when new voices say something to me.
Exactly. That's where you learn the most. I always tell my students, when you're in the university, you learn way more outside the classroom than inside. And it's because of those interactions that you have, but with people that it doesn't necessarily have your background, doesn't live like you do. and they come from different backgrounds. And it doesn't have necessarily to be like brown people, or black. It's everyone. Everyone has a story. Like, for example, I work in an urban, in a rural university. I consider them minorities as well. They're in clear disadvantage and they've been underserved. So it's not only about race and religion and sexual orientation. So, but I think we're going forward. We have been fighting since our ancestors. We are not going to stop fighting.
Oh my goodness, I need to capture that and make a LinkedIn post. That is wonderful. And on that, I'm going to end this because I don't think we can say anything better than what you just said. If anyone resonates with Johanna's statements and wants to just chat with her, please, I've put her contact information in the chat. I know she would love to hear from you and hear your voice. I also have things that I need to reach out to you about and see if we can get involved in other ways. Will you be in Baltimore for ESA?
Oh yeah, I would like to go back. I stay out for 2 years, but I would like to go back. I was even the secretary for the student
Okay.
a long time ago when I was a student, but
Excellent.
I always love it. And for people that can go this year, go, that will change your life. It's amazing.
It certainly changed their lives if you're there and they can hear from you in person.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johanna. Thank you so much, Sandra, for helping to organize this. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who stayed on for the extra few minutes. We're going to take a break from this next month because everyone at ESA is in planning and crisis mode for the upcoming meeting in Baltimore. But we hope to have an in-person session during the Career Central in Baltimore, or if nothing else, an impromptu like Ask Me Anything session where students can come and just have open, candid conversations. And then we'll resume in the September after the dust has settled and keep on going with this. But thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Johanna, and thank you to Tim, even though he's no longer on the chat anymore. Thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
so much.